Today I have Raul Bolufe, if I said that right. If not, correct me. He's going to talk a little bit about his company, Sell House Now Cash. And, Raul's been in this business for over 5 years, started in 2013. Amazingly, he's done almost 400 transactions. He actually bought the first property at 21 years old. He's born and raised in the neighborhood that he buys houses in and invests in. Works with his family. It's a family-owned business. And Raul, I know him a little bit, go back a while. He's a very passionate guy, and he even actually works with a local charity called His House, which is a foster home. So, Raul, introductions. Thank you so much for jumping on today.
Thank you, man. Now, interview over. What am I going to say after that?
Yeah. Well, I know you actually had a really interesting story to share with us about a homeowner that you recently worked with. But before we go into that, do you think you could start off by telling us the kinds of homeowners that you work with? Maybe tell us a little about how your business works.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for having me on, by the way. We've been buying home for a couple of years, and some of the homeowners that we've helped the most are usually the ones who kind of have a bit of a hard time that's going on right now. We've helped beautiful homes and people with beautiful homes and not really much challenges. But the ones that we're really, really good at is really the people who are either about to go into a pre-foreclosure, into foreclosure. Maybe they have some kind of bankruptcy issue going on, or they just inherited a house. Those kinds of clients, especially those that I just mentioned, we're really good at handling that just because at this time, some experience. But other than that, we kind of care and we understand what's happening, in your life. And we just want to make sure that we do things right and quickly. We have people on our team that can help. So I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah, we've kind of helped, any type of homeowner that you can think of at this point. But really, the core of it is people who kind of are interested in selling their house and possibly in a little bit of a challenging situation. And we just want to make sure that we get them the fairest deal, not only on money, but time as well. Make sure we respect all that. And that's what we're really passionate to come to work about.
Yeah. This is something, just working with other guys that have your business model, it is, there are certain situations where a realtor, they just stumble on. It's not a good fit for them. And I think you guys are really good at being able to navigate the unique situations that people have to kind of help them get, what's important to them, whether it's time or the structuring, the sale. So that makes a lot of sense. Where do you guys focus? What areas and neighborhoods?
That's an awesome question. So I'm born and raised in South Florida. So is all my family. So really all of South Florida, anything Dade County and Broward County, Palm Beach County, we do a bunch. But really Dade and Broward County, anywhere from Florida City or Homestead, all the way to Pompano, Atlantic Ave, things like that, we specialize in. That's where the bulk of those couple hundred properties we bought have all been there. We've renovated a bunch there and rented them, things like that. So South Florida, I'm the South Florida guy.
Yep. So, when somebody that's maybe watching this is wondering, how does this process work? When they reach out to Sell House Now Cash, what would they expect? Kind of walk us through from the time that they, let's say, fill out a form on a website all the way to closing. How does that typically work?
Well, usually we just give a bag of cash within 2 hours, and then we never see each other again.
Right.
So that's a really good one, and I like to break it down in 4 steps. It's really 3, but you'll understand the 4th one later. So step 1 is you reach out to us, or we reach out to you somehow in some kind of form, and that it worked. When I say reach out, is a phone call, email, maybe you typed us into Google, you got a postcard from us, a call from us, something along those lines. That's step 1, is there was some kind of reaching out and we communicated somehow, right? Step 2 is we gather the information from kind of what's happening, right? Tell me where your house is, tell me what's going on, tell me how we can help you. That's step 2. How can we help you? Tell us a little bit how we can help to see if it's possible. Step 3 is then we either meet face to face or on a phone call. we understand that some people don't live in South Florida. We've dealt with a bunch of clients who own a property in South Florida, maybe live in Vegas or live in Arizona or Washington or Boston or New York, and they own rental homes down here, vacation homes. So we either do like a phone call that we set up on a later time, because we need anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes to really get down to the nitty gritty. So either we meet face to face if it's possible, or on a phone call. That's step 3. And step 4 is we close within 20 to 30 days, possibly less. In one of the stories I have for later, I'll kind of share how we closed a deal within 8 days. But we'll close usually in that time frame. And that's step 4 is pretty much get your money and have fun and do whatever you want to do with it. And hopefully we helped.
That makes sense. So actually, why don't you tell us about that story?
Yeah, so I know you asked me for one, but I have 2 that I just really want to share. I'll make it short and sweet, so it's in the time of one. All right, so first story, since I said the one of 9 days, we had a property. We had someone call us. Her name was Latina. I don't know if we can say names or not, but whatever. Her name is Latina. She called us, and she had a property in Homestead that was inherited to her by a family member that passed, unfortunately. And she's like, hey, I don't have enough money to keep up with the maintenance. It's a big house. It's like a 2,400 square foot house in Homestead. So, you got to cut the grass, you got to pay FPL, you got to pay water, et cetera, et cetera. She didn't really have the money. And she was moving to Minnesota with her mother-in-law, I want to say. Mother-in-law. And they were living nearby, but they weren't living in this house. Because they had another apartment rented just for them two. And they're like, hey, I want to sell this thing. I don't really have enough time. We're moving to Minnesota at the end of the month. It's this day. What do I do? And I'm like, well, let's go out there. Let's check it out. We met with her in person. I think 1 or 2 days later, they kind of decide they have to think about it a little bit. But then the main thing was she's like, look, I just really want to get this off my back very quickly. I said, how quickly? She's like, I don't know. How long does this take? I don't really know. I'm like, well, the average, if you're going to list it, it's going to take, maybe 60, 90 days depending. If with a cash buyer kind of like us, maybe 20 to 30 days. She's like, okay, 20 days seems a little long or whatever. I'm like, look, let's put 20 days. Let's figure this thing out. And I got our team on board. I'm like, look, let's really do this. I never told her we were going to do it in 9 days. We kind of put it at 20. And we ended up, our team kind of came together and we ended up doing it in 9 days, which is pretty cool. It's probably one of the fastest transactions we've done.
Right, half the time that you told her.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and this is not a marketing that it's going to happen in 9 days every time, but just something that was capable if everything kind of if all the stars align,
Yeah, I mean, basically, you guys have the experience to be able to pull that off, and that's not an easy feat.
Yeah, experiencing the cash, and then the last one, I'll make it really quick so I wanted to give one example of only 9 days, and I want to give a quick example of one that took a really long time. Quick story, she also inherited the house from her mother, and it was under her name and her brother's name. Her brother was actually in jail. This house was in Pompano, Florida. Her brother was actually in jail, and but he was on title, so we needed him. And long story short, he was kind of bouncing around from jail to jail. So were we, right? We had to follow him. He wanted to sell as well to get the money when he gets out and all this, but we needed him, and it was just we were going through jail systems to, all right, we need a notary to come at this time, and then they would go, and it wasn't available, and we were back and forth for 8 months, And the sister who was not in jail, living in the house, she really wanted to sell it. She's like, look, I'm giving up. We're not being able to sell this. I'm like, I got you. So we got an attorney who helped us put it all together. We ended up kind of getting it done 8 months later, not 9 days, it took 8 months. So it's not always a beautiful transaction, but we really, really tried, and we put our heads together, got it done. 8 months later, she got her money and moved to where she had to go. And I thought that was a pretty cool story. And she was very thankful that we didn't let her give up.
I actually love that you gave those 2 stories. That they're very different, but really kind of help, maybe the listeners see the diversity of situations you can work with. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's not always pretty. We try to make it as pretty as possible. And the marketing, if you see our postcard, if you see our website, easy transaction. And believe me, we're all happy when it's easy. But sometimes the reality is it's not. There's going to be other people involved. There's going to be an attorney. There might be, family member. And, basically, it's not perfect, but we try to work together to get it done within the time that's possible. That's why I'm like, you know what? Let me hit it with both examples because I don't want it to just seem like, oh, we're perfect, but we'll try.
Yeah, this selling a home is it's not always up there with the most pleasurable experiences in your life for anybody. So
Yeah,
it's you guys do a great job with how you guys do it
awesome, man.
and helping. So one thing I like to ask everybody is, what are the most important tips or most important tip that you'd like to share with a homeowner that's looking to sell their house now?
I love that question. And on our website, thesellhousenowcash.com, we have an article that goes in depth. But I'll just give you like the two best tips that I can come up with. Like if my grandma were to ask me, hey, how do I sell my house? Or my mother or a really good family member, these are the two things I would say. I would say know your goal. Like know how much money you want from the house. Know in what time you want to sell the house, and then work backwards from there. So know your goal. Know, okay, hey, I want to sell my house in Homestead and Miami Lakes and Hialeah. But I know that I don't have all the time in the world, so I have to sell it in 30 days, or I have to sell it in 90 days, or I have to sell it in 2 years. It doesn't matter. It's up to you. Know your goal. Number two is find a local and credible person, right? If you want to sell it to a cash buyer, that's awesome. If you want to sell it with a realtor, that's awesome too. If you want to sell it by yourself, that's awesome as well. But if you want to sell it with either a cash buyer or a realtor, find a local and credible person, right? And you can do that online. You can do that on Google. You can do that with whatever pieces come in. Make a couple calls, see who you like the best. You can do it through asking friends and family. But those are the two best tips I would give always to sell your house like quick and now and comfortably.
I love it. Makes sense. So, Raul, just before we close up, would it be okay if people were able to get in touch with you directly? I know that that's something I think you'd be very helpful to them. Of course, you're a certified home buyer on Homebuyer directory, so they can always get in touch with you through your profile page, for your certified buyer page. But what are some other ways that they could find you?
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I love to talk to as many people as possible, right? Even though I don't have all the time in the world, I try. So you can find us on our website, which is
Raul, I'm just going to interrupt you. Raul's incredibly generous with his time, like really, really is. So I'm sorry to interrupt you, Raul.
all good, man. So sellhousenowcash.com. That is our website. We also have an Instagram, which you could direct message us there, and I look at those direct messages. So the Instagram is the same name, Sell House Now Cash. We also have a Facebook page, Sell House Now Cash. And yeah, that's about it. And then all those, you'll see on our website, we have a phone number there that'll come to our team, which is literally in the office right next to me. So I usually hear almost every call. And then sometimes I'll hop on the phone there. Through the direct messages on Instagram, I'll check those out. Through Facebook, I can check that out. And if you ever want to visit our office, our office is here in Midtown, and you can see on our website our address and everything. So I hope that helps.
That's great, Raul. Thank you so much. Thanks for taking the time out again to speak with us. And I'm excited for the people visiting our site to discover it so they can learn more about you guys and how you help.
Love it, man. Thank you. Thank you again for having me.